Yo, what's going on, everyone? Dan the Glass Man here, and we're just about to get started with things. Hold on, all right. So, I believe that worked. It looks like it worked. I believe so. That's really cool, guys. I've never done that before. We're gonna get a little bit of a glare here. Sorry about the beeping. Had to open up the oxygen here real quick. Allow the pressure to come through. All right, you guys. So Dan the Glass Man here. Let me just try to put this on here. All right, so we got our microphone. We're all set up here, ready to go. So that was interesting. I've never done a scheduled live. I didn't really know how those worked. I was like, okay, so you set it up, and then what? Like, how does it work? I didn't realize that you could actually go back, like after setting it up, pressing done, that you could actually go back and sort of like edit it, or not really edit it, but I wish I could bring that back just like that. That would be a little bit better. All right, that is a little bit better. Okay, there's some kind of a weird shadow right there. I think that's from the tape. And I can tape that down. Let's see if I can get another piece of tape. We'll just tape that part down. So I have a special lens on the camera. And welcome guys. Those of you who don't know me, welcome to the Glass Man's world. I am Dan the Glass Man. I've been blowing glass since '95 for about 27 years now. And it's been a beautiful journey, being able to blow glass and to make all kinds of cool things and stuff. And in recent years, I've learned how to go live and do these live demonstrations and things like that. I'm gonna get that on there. That's interesting. It's like whenever I move, I get this really interesting glare. Where is that from? Is that from this? Oh, do I need to move that? Cover it up? So this is all new setup and everything. I'm trying to get this to work so where you guys can actually see what I'm doing in the torch while working. So let me just, oh gosh. Let me just drop y'all. Okay, sorry about that. Let me reset you up here. Holy. Okay, hopefully that doesn't fall now. Dang it. Trying to get this angle just right so that glare ain't weird. See, that's the thing. I'm trying not to get that glare to be so weird. Alright, well, that's going to have to work and have to do there. Alright, so I'm going to get you guys angled right here so you guys can pretty much see what's going on. And let me make sure I have the live chat here as well, so those of you who are tuning in and watching. So, once again, sorry about that. Welcome to the Glass Man's world. I'm Dan the Glass Man. I've been blowing glass for 27 years, since 1995. And I've been recently going live, learning how to go live on like Facebook and just recently on YouTube. You know, I thought we had to have like 1,000 subscribers before we could actually go live. And I was able to go live before that. So I'm almost to 500 subscribers. So if you are into glass blowing, you're into musicians, and you just into the things that I do, the things that I talk about and stuff like that, Well, please be sure to give me a like and subscribe to the channel so you can get all the notifications when I go live and things like that. So today, what we're going to be working on is the drop of water. So what is the drop of water? Well, water is life, and every drop counts. And so the drop of water basically is one of the most simplest things that I'm able to make. It came to me basically from Creator. You know, I had this internal message that came to me. I was invited to a art show. I was invited as an artist to donate a piece to raise funds for Standing Rock. So during 2016, 2017, in 2016, my friend had created this show, a benefit show to raise funds for Standing Rock. And so I was thinking about, like, what could I make? What am I going to make? You know, what I can make goblet with a water drop or some kind of water theme, or I can make like some kind of sculpture or whatever, something like that, right? And it dawned on me, like something just came to me. Like I said, like basically Creator spoke to me and gave me an internal message that said, make something simple. Basically keep it simple, but yet make something that represents waters. Keep it simple so you can replicate this over and over again and make a simple symbol of water, the drop of water. So that's how the drop of water was born, was basically being invited into the art event there, and then something just came to me. Like I said, it was just Creator spoke to me and said, make the drop of water. Don't make a one-off thing where you'll never be involved again. And you know, at the time I didn't really understand or know what was going on, what the calling was, or anything like that. All I knew was that I was gonna make some necklaces with water drops on them, and I was gonna donate them to help them raise funds. And then I was going to continue to make them to also try to raise funds. So that's how the drop of water came to be. So the original one was actually made out of cobalt blue, which looks like this here. And the cobalt blue ones, you know, they actually look really, really dark, especially inside. Like you can't even tell that's cobalt. It looks like black. And so, you know, when I saw that, I realized that looks like it's oil in the water, and we don't want that. We want clean, clear drinking water, right? Mini Wachoni. Cheers. So we should always make sure that we have good, filtered, clean drinking water. You always also want to make sure you put love and intention into your water. So it's always good in the morning to just, you know, manifest the most beautiful day that you possibly can. Put all your love and intention and blessings. Always be grateful. Always thank the water for providing you with life, or providing you with that essential strength, that vitality, you know, the vital living force that comes through water, you know, and also comes through air. And so you want to be grateful of all these things, you know. So as Dr. Emoto has proven and shown, you know, the water molecules, they all hold, it's a memory keeper, and it holds the memory. So if you put bad thoughts and bad things into the water, that's not good. You want to always make sure that you're putting love and blessings and good intentions into your water. So when you hold it, be grateful for the life it's given you and the life it has sustained you and will continue to sustain you. Hare Krishna. God bless. Many Vachoni. I love you. And another thing that's really good is to make sure you're drinking out of glass, or even better, drinking out of copper, or even better yet, one of the best ways is to drink from your hand. Drinking from the vibration, from your own vibration. There's something about drinking from the palm of your hand and from getting an actual, like, a water running source, like a stream, you know, a pure spring water that could just flow right out into your hand is the best way to drink water. And then the next best way is out of copper. And always the first best way is always with that prayer, that love, and that intention, that vibration that you put into water. So before Standing Rock, you know, I've always been an environmentalist. I've always been one to speak up about how we need to better ourselves, to improve ourselves and our own ways of life and our own ways of thinking and how we live, and understand that, you know, as we're pointing the fingers saying how everyone else is making pollution and making this and making that, we have to also point fingers upon ourselves and understand what it is that we are doing. You know, what pollution have we created? And what are we doing daily in order to take care of that pollution? You know, if you do wrongs, you know, if you do one wrong, you should probably do two rights, is all I'm saying. You know, if you do a wrong, you should do two rights, you know, just to work out that karma, to be able to balance it out in a more positive way than negative. And so, you know, we all use cell phones, we all use this technology right here, we all use the internet, we all use so much stuff that creates pollution, you know. Vehicles, going to work every day, even if you ride a public bus like I have been lately because our vehicle broke down, you know, all these things, you know, it all creates a carbon footprint. And so it's just good to be personally conscious minded of what carbon footprints you're creating in everything and all things you do. Right now I have lights on, always with the lights on, running the fan right now. I have an oxygen concentrator running electricity and energy. This electricity and energy does not come free and is not clean energy. I mean, a lot of it is coal, you know, and then they're talking about the whole nuclear energy that they're bringing back in California, over there in the Diablo Canyon. And there's so much stuff going on in the world with the water and the water crisis. And then you got, you know, you got places like California where they got droughts. And then all of a sudden, bam, they got the most mega floods ever, right? Like the great floods came to California. And ain't no one got the greatest thought or idea to save it, to reclaim it, to utilize it for all the farmland, to put it into water tank storage facilities. And the reason why is because of all of the laws and all of the regulations. I believe Governor Newsom, is that his name? Gavin Newsom, I think that's who the governor is of California. I believe he has all these laws and restrictions all against the farmers taking water, even though there's an excess of water. So they let 90% of their rainwater simply just drain back out to the oceans. So all that flood water that California just recently got, it just went right back to the ocean. That water went through a cycle, right? The drop of water cycle, right? What does a drop of water do? Well, from source, right? Like we all are drops of water in this vast ocean of life, right? We all come from source. We all come from that source, that ocean. And so as water drops, you know, eventually we all, either we stay with source and stay in the ocean, or sometimes you get a little bit heated up, a little evaporated, start to condense within the clouds and create precipitation, which then falls back down in rain. Except at that point, you leave the source and you move over to some other spot, to the Maya, to the land, right? and you have to then, now you're a water drop trying to find your way back to source, back to the ocean, right? And so the water cycle, it goes through the cycle over and over again, right? And eventually that drop might land on a mountain and trickle back down a few ways, and then it gets evaporated back up to the clouds and gets dropped back down, and then trickles back trying to reach the ocean, and eventually, it'll finally reach to the East Coast. So it'll go from like the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean and finally be back with that whole one source, because all the waters on the world connect. Even though we have borders, somehow we have a border between the Pacific Ocean, the Antarctic, the Indian Ocean. Like, I don't know how, but somehow, to me, it's all one water. It's all one source. We're all drops of water in this vast ocean of life. That's how we're all connected together. Because I know that we all come from the same creator, from the same source. So even though you may be a land drop, or you may be a rock drop, or you may be a garden drop, or you may be a drop for the animals, or a drop for the people, or a drop for the trees, even though you're part of all these other different tribes, you're still a drop. You're still a water drop, still serving all of these other individual drops, or living sources, living creatures that came from Creator as well. Creatures from Creator. And water is also one of those creations from Creator. And so we are supposed to basically be guardians, stewards of this vessel, of this earth, of this land. And we're supposed to help Creator. We're supposed to be in devotional service with Creator to help co-create a beautiful, perfect harmony here. Harmony, meaning like harmonious balance and vibration, frequency, and energy. But right now you got people's energies is very stagnant. You got other people's energies who are just, they don't care where they put their energy, they just throw it anywhere and everywhere. They haven't decided to choose good or to choose bad, right or wrong. They just choose to just, floating everywhere. All over the place. I don't know what I want to be. Creator created me as one way, but I think I might try to be another way. Like, all right, transmute your energy however you feel, but in the truth and the reality of it all, in the cosmic realm of it all, we're all connected to Source, and we're all supposed to be working in devotional service to help the others and to basically help each other grow and develop and allow the cycle of life, or allow that cycle of the water drop, the life of the water drop, to continuously to flow, right? And you want to always be in the flow and never become stagnant. You don't want to become like water drops stuck in a puddle, where you just get evaporated back up anyways. You don't want to get stagnant in like some sort of like nasty water, sewage water, or any kind of nasty water that's just stuck and stagnant and not flowing, has no life. You want to always be in that continuous flow. So with that being said and all that, before Standing Rock, I've always been connected to water, connected to Source, connected to this energy, this vibration, this frequency, and I've understood this. And in recent years, I've come to even understand it more. I'm still learning. I do not know it all, but I do know a lot, and I do understand a lot. And so now I simply just share the things that I kind of understand or what I grasp. And if this is just my opinion, you may want to take it as factual, but just also think of it as, this is just my thoughts and you have your own. And that's what makes each water drop very unique and very diverse. Water is life. Every drop counts. So with that being said, bringing us to Standing Rock. So many years ago, we had an action on the earth here where individuals from from Turtle Island, from North America, from specifically North Dakota, from the Ocheti-Sacoan tribe, from Standing Rock, from that area. There were U.S. engineers and individuals who came out to basically move a pipeline, an oil pipeline, that was running right side by side, harmoniously, with the water. So you have natural water coming here, and you have your oil here, and they're not interacting, right? But they decide, we want to move the pipeline. We're going to rebuild the whole pipeline infrastructure. We're going to move the pipeline, and we want to make sure that this pipeline cuts right through the Standing Rock tribe's sacred burial lands and right across their water stream. So, if there's any kind of accidents, well, oops, oil might get in the water. So a lot of individuals were like, no, like F that, that's desecrating our water. This is Creator's water. This is all of our water. Like, if you desecrate this water, it's not just the people around here that are going to get harmed or injured. The water flows downstream, and everyone downstream, including the people who are there engineering, their families, and everyone else, because all the water goes back to the ocean, goes back to source, and all this stuff, right? Although in the purification process, in evaporation or in distillation process, you should be able to evaporate the water molecules to where you can separate them, purify them, and clean them back into the clouds. But of course, up above, we have them with their airplanes all flying through, and of course they leave their trails. Here comes the airplane, and there's a trail just being left behind, right? And so, they leave all these trails, so even the rainwater isn't pure and clean anymore, They've desecrated the purity of the purification process. Like, that's horrible, right? So, Standing Rock happened. Hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of individuals went up there to Standing Rock to stand in solidarity, to be allies with all of our brothers and sisters. To me, we're all brothers and sisters. It does not matter what tribe you're from. We're all from that same source. Many tribes, all the same source. But people like to segregate. They like to put fences up. They like to say, no, you're not my bloodline. It's like, okay, whatever. We got the same DNA. Most of us, many of us. I mean, there are some differences in DNA, and right now they're also playing with DNA, and they're messing with that sacred water that's within the cells and within the DNA. So be careful with the things that you take, especially from those who are they got sinister plans. You guys be safe out there. Pay attention to what's going on. So, Standing Rock occurred, and I couldn't go. I wanted to be there. I wanted to stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters there, but at the time I was going through a custody battle. Basically, I was fighting to get my daughter back into my life because she was taken from me wrongly, and without any just reason. And I had to basically prove to the courts, because you're always guilty until proven innocent. So I had to prove to the courts that, no, I'm a good father. And, eventually I was able to get my daughter back. But, I wasn't able to go to Standing Rock. And the day that I saw when the security came out with their dogs, and the dogs started, their security dogs started to attack our native brothers and sisters there, and those who were on the lines there, standing with women and children. That tore me up in my heart. I could not believe that they were doing that to our brothers and sisters. And that was when I wanted to be there so bad. And I also, at the same time, if I was there, I don't know what could have happened, because I would have been one to be pushing to get them the fuck out of there, doing maybe doing things that would not have been the right way of doing things, you know. But I would have probably been protected by a creator. Either way, creator, he kept me elsewhere to protect me. That's what happened. So because I couldn't be in Standing Rock, the next best thing that I could do was have that message come to me clearly when I was asked to make something to donate as an art piece to help raise funds for Standing Rock. And that's when the drop of water came to me, and I was able to then start making them, and I started selling them at that point to try to raise funds on the side. And it was interesting, from the time that I created it in November, I think it was around November 20th, somewhere around there, November 22nd, something like that. Around that time, excuse me, around that time until February. So November, December, January, February, 3 months in. And I only sold, I believe, 5 necklaces. 5 of the drop of water. You know, I was selling them for $10 a piece. And I was going to put 30%. So at $10 each, $3 was going to go back to Standing Rock. 30%. I sold 5. I had $15 that I raised for Standing Rock. I was like, I could donate more out of my own pocket. You know, like it was kind of asinine and ridiculous, you know. But for some reason, I kept making them. And that time, as I was making them, and let's start making one right now. And so in that time, as I was making them, my friend, my brother from Acoma Pueblo, he was coming around, hanging out, and just watching me blow glass during the day, while his partner at the time was in class, you know, taking classes here in Albuquerque. They'd come into town for the classes, and then you know, he would just chill for like an hour or two while she was in class, and then he'd go pick her up. Sometimes she'd come back and hang out, or sometimes they would just head home. And in that time, I was still just making these water drops, a drop of water. And like I said, the first ones were cobalt, but then we started making them into this clear water drops here. So the clear water drops, you know, that represents clean drinking water for all. And so my friend Daniel, he saw me making them. His partner Rafi saw me making them. And in that time, after February, March came. A few weeks later, they get invited in March or maybe beginning of April to be part of the Gathering of Nations powwow, which is always here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, every year in April, the end of April. So around April 26th, April 28th, sometime around there. It's usually the last weekend of the month in April. And they were invited to be part of the Gathering of Nations powwow and to sing and dance the Buffalo Dance. Now, at the time I didn't know this, but they spoke with the individual who was, he was the one who was organizing all 19 pueblos from New Mexico. So they were gathering all 19 pueblos from New Mexico to dance the Buffalo Dance together, which hadn't occurred before that in over, I believe, 400 years. Maybe 200, but I believe, from what I remember and what they said, it was 400 years that all 19 pueblos hadn't danced together the Buffalo Dance. And so it was a very sacred ceremony. And my friends from Acoma, you know, without knowing this, I had no idea. they went to that individual who was organizing it all and asked if they could add a symbol of water to their regalia to represent the water protectors and to represent Standing Rock, because the Buffalo Dance was to honor the buffalo and to honor those who were at Standing Rock and to honor the water and the water protectors. And that's why they organized this special presentation of the Buffalo Dance at the Gathering of Nations in 2017. And my friends came back and told me that they asked to wear the drop of water. And if they were given permission, that they asked me if I would be willing to make them the drop of water to wear with their regalia or the Buffalo Dance. And of course, I said yes, and I started making them right away. As soon as they were told yes, that they could wear the drop of water with their regalia, and I started making them. I had no idea how many I was making them for. I figured, maybe like 100 of them. So I just started making them right away. That first day, I made 21. I sat there and I made 21 because the 21 to me represents 3 times 7, the 37. 37 is everywhere. And for some reason, I've always had 37 follow me. It's been my number. It's helped me to understand that I'm on the right path and that things are in sync. And so the 3, the 7 equals 21. So I made 21 drops that first night. And when he came back the next day and he told me that there were 19 of them, I was already done with making them for that group. So there was 19. And then I had one extra for myself, which was 20. And there was one more, which I decided would be gifted to someone else. So then I just realized, we're going to the Gathering of Nations. These are going to be wards. There's going to be other individuals who are water protectors there. So I started making them so I could gift them, and also so I could sell them to basically recoup the cost of any of the gifting. And so then I was invited to join them on the floor during the Buffalo Dance. They told me that, they were meeting beforehand in prayer and everything, in ceremony beforehand, and I couldn't join them in there with all the other pueblos, but to meet them down on the floor, if I could get down to the floor, to meet them there. And so then there's video of me making it down to the floor of the Buffalo Dance, of all the dancers and singers coming in from the back of Tingley Coliseum and entering into the Gathering of Nations, into the circle there. And then there's the video there of me holding the sign, which is actually right behind us here. Well, I don't want to move that because the whole thing might fall again. But there's a sign behind me that's the original sign, the drop of water, Mini Wachoni, spelled with the A, Mini Wachoni, instead of Wachoni with an I. Wachoni. It's Wachoni. So now we always get that. the water, the Mini Wachoni with the A. So yeah, there's video there of me on the floor. And that was when we first started gifting out the drop of water to other individuals who were at Standing Rock, other individuals who are part of the Buffalo Dance. One of the first individuals that I gifted, I ended up becoming friends with her and her children, her family, and that was just, everything was just like so serendipitous how it worked, how it all came together, all manifesting all on its own, because the symbol was needed and necessary. The drop of water, the symbol of hope, was needed and necessary. You know, it's a very simple thing that I can do. But like I said, there were hundreds of thousands of individuals who were at Standing Rock alone. You know, and we're not gifting just individuals from Standing Rock, but we're gifting all water protectors from all over the world, from all walks of life. You know, as long as you're an individual who has dedicated your life to protecting water, you know, you're on a mission for clean drinking water for all. You understand that all our future generations depend on us to preserve clean drinking water for them. So that way they don't come in to dirty water and have nothing to drink and they can't survive. Or they're always having to filter everything and figure it out before they can get it back to the natural cycle, because the earth will fix itself, correct itself, and replenish itself. It is the animals, the creatures, the humans that will succumb and won't live anymore. We will go extinct without water. But the earth will move on and will live on, you know. And there will be very wise individuals who also know how to filter water, have ways of, you know, preserving good, clean drinking water, filtering it, getting the natural streams going back again. You know, the earth will always have clean water from underneath the source, from the surface. And so, yeah, it's wise to make sure you understand the cycle of water, the water life cycle, how to filter water yourself, what sort of products, you know, like Berkey filters or life straws or Sawyer straws, or just learning how to distill water, or making a simple filter with like sand, gravel, plant material, and charcoal, activated charcoal. If you can learn how to make, you know, simple rainwater filter system, you'll be all right. You'll be able to survive because you'll have good, clean drinking water. So we've gifted, we meaning myself, I've made all of these. Every individual water drop, I mean, there might have been a couple dozen, I'd say like maybe 2 dozen, that were made by our friend Orlando Cruz. So I got on the torch and taught him how to make a few water drops, you know, and he made some and they were cool. You know, he never really dedicated the time to perfecting them and getting the loops nice and thick and strong and perfect it. So, you know, the ones that he made were special gifts because they were from him. Even though they were a little bit wonky, they were still water drops, you know, and people still wanted them because they were from his hands. But other than that, I'm pretty much the sole maker of the thousands and thousands of drops of water that have been made and gifted or made and sold. So the numbers that I've been able to keep track of right now is 3,766 of these, the drop of water necklaces, being honored to water protectors to thank them for protecting Creator's water. So ever since the Gathering of Nations 2017, I've gifted out that many. So we're on what, 5 years now coming up? And then, you know, we had the whole shutdown. So for the last couple of years, you know, we weren't really doing much. lot of individuals weren't really focused on trying to honor water protectors. They were more concerned about acquiring water and getting bottled water and getting filtered and making sure that they weren't getting ill, weren't, getting sick, and all this stuff we were dealing with for the last few years. So thedropofwater.com shut down during that time, and we lost all our support during that time. But things are slowly just revamping back up right now. All the seeds that we planted for the last few years are, I think, finally coming to blossom now, and hopefully will be fruiting soon. So yeah, I'm now on number 3 here. So you can see how long each one of these makes, and I'm, trying to share stories too at the same time. I could probably make them a little bit quicker, just a little bit quicker if I wasn't talking. So, we've gifted, close to 4,000 drops so far. That's not including all that have been sold. So we have another friend, an individual up in Canada, who has the Drop of Water campaign. And the Drop of Water campaign has been gifting and honoring water protectors there. So I have not kept track of the drops that have been going and being sold to him, because he's actually gifting out of his own pocket. And then, of course, he sells them on the side so he can also recoup that loss to continue with just being able to keep this going and being able to gift more and more individuals. So if you are a water protector from Standing Rock, or if you've been to any other pipelines, Keystone XL, Baton Rouge, if you were part of the, long before Standing Rock, if you were part of the whole Navajo Nation's water desecration with the Nemus River, or if you're a water protector from Flint, Michigan, or, any other water protectors out there from any other causes or any other protests or actions, prayers, sit-ins, stands, whatever that they may be. If you are a water protector, please comment below, let me know, and we can then exchange information, and I can get the Drop of Water to you. We can find out if you have a lot of friends, family, relatives that are also water protectors, maybe those who were with you, standing with you, that you would like to personally honor as well. And we can make sure to continue to give all of you water protectors out there. And those of you who just want to support this cause, this personal mission of mine of just thanking those for protecting Creator's water, basically for me, this is my devotional service to Creator on just being able to simply remind others how important clean drinking water is for all generations to come. It's one of the most important battles. They always say to choose your battles wisely. Well, this is one of the most important battles that I choose to be a part of. And I choose to stand and fight with. So this is very sacred and dear to me, the Drop of Water. And, in the time of Standing Rock and that, there's a lot of individuals who were, they're coming in and they were trying to steal, trying to take donations without actually giving donations and things like that. And a lot of individuals thought that I was also doing the same thing and trying to basically make money off of Standing Rock's hardships, not realizing that I've been a water protector long before Standing Rock, and Standing Rock was just one of many catalysts that helped to bring the Drop of Water to life and to put it out there to the world, to make this an actual global movement. So, you know, Standing Rock was definitely a very important aspect, a very important part of the Drop of Water. And you know, well, Standing Rock still exists, and of course there's still people there. There's still people protecting the water and trying to do what they can there, even though the pipeline's gone through and they continue to build. There's still individuals there still fighting. But the Standing Rock that we saw on all the YouTube videos, you know, all of the different drone water protectors, all the warriors, the drone warriors, the media warriors, all the ones who made sure that we could see it during a media blackout. You know, a lot of individuals that I had the honor, I'm grateful to have been able to gift them and to honor them with the Drop of Water. You know, there's so many individuals that I've been able to connect with in that way. So many individuals that I've made the Drop of Water, and now they wear all the way to their deathbed, that they ask to be buried with it, that they never want to remove it off their neck. They never want to remove it away from their heart, but they want to keep it close. They want to keep it sacred. And so those of you, water protectors, who have been in that good way, I love you and I thank you for that, for honoring the Drop of Water in that way. I hope. But yeah, during that time, there were many others who went against me, went against this mission. They desecrated it. They tried to destroy it. They tried to stop it. They thought that I was a thief. They were trying to label me as such. And basically I felt the most racism I've ever felt in my entire life. Growing up, being born in California, growing up in LA County, growing up as a little dark-skinned boy around all the Mexicans and all the Spanish, and yet I can't speak a word of Spanish, you know? Just a California kid wanting to skateboard. You know, little dark-skinned boy. Never knowing any native heritage or anything. Never learning any of my roots. My parents were never taught any of their roots. All of that was lost somewhere in generations and generations. But even still, being out there in California, I never felt that sort of segregation and racism that I had felt from individuals who thought that I was a thief and tried to steal from them. And I don't know. It was harsh. But I realized that, you know, this was bestowed upon me through Creator, not through any of them. And if I were to stop because of what they were saying, then I would stop my devotional service to Creator. And I couldn't do that. So I had to continue the Drop of Water, even through the darkest of storms and the darkest of times. You know? I still love all my enemies. They're not my enemies. They may have tried to make me their enemy, but I'm no enemy. I'm an ally. I'm a friend. I'm your brother. You're my brothers and sisters. And that's all to it. I don't care what tribe you want to claim you're from. We're all from that same soul tribe. We're all connected. All star seeds. All connected. All the way down to the cellular structure. so that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm passionate about doing this, making something so tedious, just constantly over and over and over. You know, not adding any color, not adding any design work or anything, just making the same water drop over and over and trying to make them where they look like they're identical. You know? To make them all exactly the same. And that's a hard thing. As I was saying earlier, is when my friend was making a few, you know, he made maybe a couple dozen. You know, it takes a while. Like, you got to actually sit there and make a dozen in one sitting. Like, this is a couple dozen in several sittings, you know. Now, had he sat there in one day and sat through one session and made a dozen, I told him, once you get through that first dozen, that 13th one is when you start feeling the flow of, oh, I see. If I do this, if I move my hand like that, no, not working. If I do that, oh, that works. You know, just little things like that. You know, and keeping it like that, not moving back and forth and moving back and forth and moving back and forth. You know, just keeping it like that. Let that flow just keep flowing. You know, let the fire do the work. You know, and if you learn how to hold it in certain ways, and you become automatic, you basically become like a robot in making it. Like, it's the same. It becomes routine. You know, you can almost do this with your eyes closed, except you're working with fire, so it's dangerous. You know, I wonder, can I close my eyes for a set? Yeah. For 3 sets? Yeah. Well, my eyes were closed at that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See? And I moved already. I wasn't in the same spot. You can't close your eyes and blow glass. But almost. You can almost make these with your eyes closed. But once you get into the routine of making these, and you just start making them over and over and over, doing the same movements, getting that same frequency, energy, vibration into each one, then they come out. And they come out looking good. And still, they're not all the same. Because each one is made one at a time. They're all one of a kind. They might be, one is slightly smaller, one is slightly bigger. One loop might be a little bit thicker in the front towards the back, or one might have a little bit bigger of a hole for the loop. They're all unique in their own way. One might have a little bit more of a pool, but they all are simply the drop of water. A simple teardrop shaped piece of clear glass with a nice loop rounded on the bottom. Gotta always make sure you clean up that punchy mark. So usually what I do is I'll make 37 of these in one sitting. But being that we're live today, I don't want to have you sit here with me for the next 3 hours. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to make a row of 9. So usually 9 will fit across right here. And we'll do a four columns of 9. So that's 36 with 1 extra on the bottom to make 37. That's 3 and 7. Excuse me for a moment. I've been a little bit sick. I've had a head cold. I had a sore throat the other day. So just bear with me for a moment. I gotta blow my nose. You know, one thing I kind of want to show you though, I don't know, sometimes when you get sick, you start blowing your nose a lot, and your nose gets really, really raw, you know, and it starts to hurt, it gets all dried out, especially if you're not using like the really nice Kleenex with the lotion or whatever, you know, there's this stuff. I don't use any of that stuff. I don't like the smell of any of that fragrance-y stuff. But we normally just use regular toilet paper, right? And then just blow your nose and then throw it away. Old school ways, right? Grandpa would always have a hanky, right? So I'm getting old school. I'm becoming almost 50 here soon. And I decided, well, we got the Norwex body cloth. This has silver embedded in it. It's not supposed to allow any bacteria to form on it, but yet I'm putting all this bacteria on it, right, by blowing my nose. But then it should be able to just wash out and clean itself, and then be just perfectly new again, and a lot better than having just some nasty hanky, using a bandana for a hanky. I just wanted to share that with you. Norwex, the reason why I talk about Norwex all the time is because this uses only water. This is a body cloth. I bathe with this. Well, I have a brand new one. This is my old one. I've had this pack for 2 years now. So pretty much the 2-year warranty. These come with a 2-year warranty, which means they're guaranteed to work with only water and remove 99.9% bacteria with just water from your body. And they have all these cloths. You know, that's why I use the OptiCloth for cleaning my glass. I don't know if you noticed that earlier, but I was wiping my glass down. You know, simply, you just get your glass and then you just wipe it. I don't know if you noticed that earlier, but I was using the Norwex OptiCloth earlier. And the Norwex, I got into Norwex because of being a water protector. I learned that you could wash dishes with the dish sponges and towels and cloths using only water. And at the time I was living at Camp Two Dogs, which was a water protector camp, which came after all of the Gathering of Nations and going around, and like probably I guess within like 6 months later, 7 months later, something like that, I moved to a place called Camp Two Dogs, which was a person who was at Standing Rock, who invested in getting some land, who then put a little tiny home up there. But then she had a back surgery and had a vertebrae that was either fused or some issues. She was trying to build and do a lot of stuff on her own. She's very gung-ho. She's military. So, you know, you don't tell her no. You don't tell her don't do that, because she'll prove to you that she can. But she was working herself really hard and getting to the point where she didn't think she could do it on her own anymore, and she was about to throw in the towel. And I heard her call for help. And I also, you know, Orlando, our friend Orlando, was going up there hanging out and was saying, hey, you got to come up here to Camp Two Dogs. You got to meet the owner here. She's also a Krishna. You know, he'd always call me a Krishna. You guys are both Krishnas. And so she was also a devotee of Krishna, as I am as well. And I was like, all right, well, you know, let's go visit it and see what's up. And then I heard the cry for help. And we went up there and went to go check it out and talk to her. And right away, you know, within that weekend, we agreed that it was okay for me to move up, just leave my life that I had going. You know, I was already stationary and doing good things in Albuquerque. But Krishna's sister needed some help. A water protector's sister needed some help. One of my relatives needed some help. So I left my whole life here in Albuquerque, moved up there to Camp Two Dogs to go help with building up all these different structures and all these things to make it happen. Eventually there, though, is where a lot of the accusations that I was a thief started, because I simply owed her $70, which was so weird how all that went down. But I understand, you know, I understand the full agreement, so you take nothing personal. I understand what Mitra was going through at that time, the owner. with her mom passing and a lot of stuff happening. Emotions got a little bit blown out of proportion, and that energy went towards the wrong person. I was your brother there to help, and you attacked me, so I had to leave. As simple as I left my place in Albuquerque to get up there to help you, as soon as I was attacked and being accused of being a thief when I simply owed money, $70 only, it was like less than $100, barely anything, plus also being given the permission to not pay her back right away. You know, that I was saying, hey, I got this $250 payment for my tiny home. Do you mind if I put my money into that first, and then I can get you that $70 back here soon? Oh yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, you've been doing so much work here and helping. Yeah, of course. And then somehow I became a thief, and I stole that. Or I hijacked the deal with the sage, and I don't know, all this weird stuff. When it was all planned, we all talked about it all. Everything was laid out on the table, but then all of a sudden there was something that changed within her and decided I stole that, and I'm a thief. So I had to leave. So as quick as I moved up there, I quickly left, just like that, you know. In Krishna consciousness, we are taught to not have any attachment, to only be attached to Krishna, to God, you know. But also, every person has a part and parcel of God within them, and they have their God self within them. So when you're in devotional service to individual humans, creatures, animals, whatever it is, plants on this planet, they all have that spark of God as well. So as you're in devotional service to individuals, creatures, plants, whatever, you are also still in devotional service directly to God or to Creator, because you're basically, it's that namaste, you know. I see that God self in you as you see in me. I accept you as that divine spirit, that divine eternal spirit soul, as I am as well. That's what namaste means. Some people like to add a lot more to it, but pretty much as I see that God self in you as within me. I see God in you as God in me. Namaste. So we got 2 more to go to make this row of 9, and then we're going to start working on a couple of the other ones. Now, I don't know if I can actually make an earth drop. I did post it up on here about the earth drop and the original clear drop, and also the drop of water 2.0. Now, the drop of water 2.0, we can probably get away with making a couple of those, and I do have a little bit of cobalt here. But I do need to get more supply, so, you know, I gotta wait. I'm kind of jumping the gun here because I want to, as soon as the money comes in for this order, you know, as soon as they post payment, I want to pretty much be done with all the clear ones so I can move on to the color ones. So I'm going to need to get a lot of cobalt for the earth drop. I'm going to need to get a lot of green to make the earth, the land on the earth drop. And then I'm going to need a lot of cobalt and white to make the drop of water 2.0. Now the drop of water 2.0 is this here. And basically how I make it is I draw a little white line around the cobalt blue on the back. So when you look through it, it's got like that. The blue is highlighted, and it really makes it pop. And those things are really nice. And then the earth drop, I wonder if I even have one here on my table. No, I don't have an earth drop here. So we'll have to make an earth drop, but I don't know if I have enough cobalt today to make one. It's possible I can do it with this tube that I've turned solid. All right, so yeah, so after leaving Camp 2 Dogs and all that weird stuff that happened. And I had a lot of backlash from a lot of individuals because they believed that I was a thief, and they already had it in their mind that I was taking their pain, their anguish, and what they've gone through in Standing Rock, and I took that to basically make money, to make profit off of through the drop of water. They don't realize that the sales, the gifting cost far exceeds the sales that I've made. You know, it's sad. Like, basically, I probably just barely make enough money so I could get the materials, you know, and pay myself a little bit of a wage so I can afford to be on the torch to make a bunch, thousands of gifts so I can just gift them out freely. You know, when you think about it, when I retail these at $10 each, and I've gifted out 3,766, well, you do the math. You simply just add a zero to that number, and that's $37,660 in the drop of water that I've gifted out. I have not made that much in sales at all. But it is what it is. And like I said, this was bestowed upon me through the Creator. And that's why I continue to do it. You know, even though I've had a lot of haters. Like I said, I have felt the worst racism, segregation that I've ever felt by anyone on this planet, even while I was living in California. Pretty wild to think that my native brothers and sisters were the worst of it, but also the best too. Because, you know, then I have a lot of my native brothers and sisters that have taken me in and have basically adopted me in as family, have welcomed me into their homes, welcomed me into their pueblos, have welcomed me into their customs, their culture, their traditions, welcomed me into even some of the secrets of the traditions, which I will never share because I understand how sacred those things are. And sometimes I also know that I'm being shared those things because they're testing me to see, will he share it? Can we trust him? Yeah, we can trust you. Alright, so we're on number 9 here. 9 is completion. So we were completing one row. So every time I complete one row, that's 9. That's a row of completion, or completing another flow once again. Alright, so we're probably going to have to get a little bit more glass out here. That way we can make the drop of water 2.0. I wonder if I should attempt to make an earth drop first, because I have this little bit of cobalt on this tubing here, but that end is solid. So this is all solid right here, but then to right here, that's tubing, that's all hollow. It's hollow, but then solid. Like a whole inch of that solid. So I basically melted it down, melted the air out, you know, I just sandwiched it out. Excuse me, sorry. Like I said, I've been all sick and just getting it out finally, getting all that congestion out. That's why I gotta blow my nose and cough it up. So, one good thing for sicknesses is ginger compresses. So when we first got that CVID going around back in 2019, it was around Halloween of 2019, before it was blamed upon another country. It was here, and I know that one guy who was getting blamed for everything, the old white dude. It almost looks like Ross Perot. But you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to mention names, because I don't want this feed to get shut down because of all that. But yeah, he admitted to funding the guys here in the University of North Carolina. There was a doctor there. So he admitted that, but it's okay because he didn't admit that he funded the other country, that's what he was being put on trial for, or being questioned about. So, you know, it's all about the wording. Like, oh no, you didn't put me on trial about the North Carolina stuff. Well, I'll admit to that right now while I'm not on trial. Funny how they do that. The legal jargon, the legal system, how it all works, is judicial system. Quite comical sometimes. All maritime law. Step into my vessel, please. Please step upon my ship. Please board my course. Walk through the gates. Alright, so here goes number 9, guys. Number 9. So we've completed one row. So only got 3 more to go, plus that last one. And then we'll have 37 made. I need 100 of these, so if I do 3 sittings of 37, then we definitely get enough at that point. I believe that puts us to 111, maybe 121. Alright, so this is what they look like when they come out, guys. They're at the clear water drop right there. And I wish I had an earth drop to show you. I don't. So the only way to show you one would be to make one, right? Which is why we did put on the kiln, so the kiln's on. So we might as well. Might as well, right? Alright, so what I'm going to do is stretch out a little bit of this green here, which is forest green from North Star Glass. So the forest green, it kind of wants to fester or bubble or boil a little bit, so you got to be real careful with the flame. You don't want it too oxidized or too much oxygen in the flame. You want more propane or more of a reduction flame. So we're just going to pull this down just like that. I don't want it too long. You know, like I said, each one of these is all unique, individual, one of a kind. So each one is all done one at a time here. So we don't need too much, but there's a green stringer right there. And basically just pull it. Alright, so we got our green right there. Now, clean this up. Alright. So here goes the cobalt. Just cleaned it up with the Norway OptiCloth. Get some more water here. So what I'm going to do is just start melting this down. We're going to gather this cobalt. And it may have to, as it gets bigger, I may have to actually shrink down some more air out of it. There's a couple little tricks to doing so. One is just letting gravity do it. Another is heating it up perfectly in little increments and then sucking the air out. You know, it's quite interesting to me that today, for the first time of doing the whole streaming, scheduling the live and streaming it live, it's interesting that I haven't had anyone come in to watch, and I shared this out. I shared this out in so many different places, and I find it hilarious that still no one comes in and joins me on my live feed. I've been on for an hour now. So like I said, we just did a whole row of 9. It took about an hour to make that many. And if we were to make all 3 rows plus that last one, the 37, yeah, it would take 3 hours. So I don't want to keep you all here with me for that long, especially because I haven't had breakfast, and my wife and our son will be waking up here soon. And so I'll be making us all breakfast soon. I know that she was wanting pancakes yesterday, so I'll probably be able to pull that off today now that I'm feeling a lot better. So you want to get this really bright so you can really be able to see through it to really tell where that air bubble is. Yeah, and see, if we had just a solid piece of cobalt, which I haven't actually, I bet you I probably have like a really thick piece of cobalt that I could have just stuck onto something and used. But let me just show you this technique. You can always turn a piece of tubing into solid rod if you ever need it. Alright, so basically, to make the earth drop, you simply just round it up and then draw the continents. Now, I don't have a map in front of me, so I'm going to do my best to remember what the Earth looks like from memory, and we're going to draw it right on here. So that's why I tell my friend who is ordering these that, you know, these are going to be a little bit more pricier, you know. I don't I don't make these all the time. I usually only make them for Earth Day. But and they do take a little bit of time to actually do this, you know. It's not so simple to just like, oh, okay, here's a globe. Let me just draw this on. All right, so there goes the Americas, North America, South America. Got a little bit of Florida trailing out there. We got Mexico, Texas. Can even try to draw in little Baja, California right there. South America. Bam, and then you get all of Russia and the whole other European continent here. Right? China. A couple islands over here to represent Japan. And we need India coming down. Right there by all the Bering Strait and the Indian Sea. You got your European Union here. And you got Spain, Madrid. And Africa. Then you gotta have, of course, gotta have your Australia, New Zealand islands there. And then, like I said, you know, it's all just an artistic representation, so, you know, it's definitely not accurate, that's for sure. Then you want to have Greenland and Iceland, right? Nothing in the Atlantic. And then the land doesn't have to be all sunk in or melted down because, you know, it is land. sticks up a little bit higher than the water, although some places might be below sea level. Antarctica is tiny compared to everything else. That should have been a lot bigger. And South America looks a little strange, so I'm going to fix that real quick. Now we're just flattening all the land. Alright, so this is what it looks like with the land on it and glowing, sorta. Alright, so now I'm just going to sink it down some. Just going to kind of round it all out a little bit better. And then we're going to pull the loop. And this earth's drop will be done. I'm wondering, but I actually might want to, instead of sinking it down too much, I kind of like how it's sticking up like that. So we're not going to sink it all the way, that's for sure. Alright, so now that all that's sunk in and everything, right? We get that heat more towards this top area here. We're going to stretch it down with the solid glass, try not to get any of that air bubble in there. Because now we turn the Earth from a globe, so it's neither a globe, it's neither flat, it's actually a water drop. Just kidding. The Earth is not flat and it's not round, it's water drop shaped. So I'm going to heat up this top half. We're going to stretch this up some. So that way I can pull some of this land upward towards the top right before the loop. And these, you know, they tend to come out a little bit bigger than the clear ones because you're adding to it and then trying to figure out how much glass to start with and everything. You know, these will always fluctuate in size, but they'll always be the same price pretty much. All right, now let me see if I can get rid of this air bubble in here, so we can stretch this out. See, there's a little bit of air in the tube here, so I'm just trying to get it out of here. Alright. Here we go. And being that I'm from the U.S., I always put the Americas towards the front. If you're from a different spot and you'd like to have your country in front, I can do that for you. Alright, and we just pull that around. Nice, and I did not catch any air. That's beautiful. And then this isn't the usual cobalt. Like I said, this was off of a tube. So I don't know if this is the actual color hues that they would normally come out as. And then also, I believe on the order, once I get the payment through, I believe on the order they wanted them slightly larger than usual, which this would be the usual. So this compared to the regular drop of water, side by side, you can see pretty close. That one maybe is just slightly more elongated. And then you can see the continents popping up right there. It's a little hard with that reflection. Let me see if I can block that reflection there. Oh, but then the light, it's like you need the reflection to see the green. Yeah, and then I don't know if that's actually the green that I use. I think I use a brighter green. So this probably isn't the green that I would be using. I think instead of the forest green, I think I normally use jade. So we'll have to get some of the jade green. Alright, but there's an earth drop for you to just give you a demonstration on how that's made, how that works. And I wish that the green would pop out more so you could actually see the detail of how I drew each continent and everything. Although I didn't get Antarctica in there, which I was thinking when I first started this, I was like, I should probably lay down Antarctica first. And somehow Africa and South America went all the way down to the bottom. All right. Well, there's the Earth drop. It has continents on there. It's just not the right green. It's not the super bright green that I normally use. But we'll put this in the kiln, just because that's where it belongs. Except, where did my pot holder go? I noticed that went missing last time. Oh, it's not missing. It's behind there. Alright. So there's the earth drop. And now we can move on to the drop of water 2.0. Or what's also known as an ocean in a drop. Ocean in a drop. So that's a new campaign from my friend up in Canada, Ocean in a Drop. So he's going to be getting them out to individuals in that way. He's got different pages for every campaign. So everyone's unique and individual and different. Alright, so let's make the drop of water 2.0. You know, maybe I can still use this one actually. And so do we want this one? Yeah, okay. Alright, cool. So let's get going. Drop water 2.0. So the drop water 2.0, this one was after many different versions of the simple the drop of water. So like I said, at first it was the cobalt blue, you know, so it started out as a cobalt blue one. Then we went to the clear, and then I started mixing the clear with a cobalt spiral. Then I made a white spiral to represent ice. Water is ice, which I don't know if I have any of those here. I don't see any of the water is ice. And then we made a couple of the red spirals, different ones, you know, lots of different versions. We've even made the bee drop, where it's got a little bee on it. I don't know if you can see that little bee on there. But there's a bee on the drop right there. So we got the bee drop, we have honey drop. So we got all these different ones that were all the teardrop shape. And then I came out with the flat back. So this is a flat back drop of water. That's basically what it is to me. But it's got the blue with the accented white around it, which just makes it pop. And this one, I just called it the Drop of Water 2.0. It was just like a new reinvention of the Drop of Water. And now my friend in Canada is going to rename it as Ocean in a Drop, which that's really cool and catchy. I like that. I'll just keep mine as the 2.0s, you know. You know, maybe one day I'll think of something different, or maybe I'll just jump onto his campaign and just start calling them, you know, Ocean in a Drop. The only thing is that I'm a little concerned about is that he has his pricing slightly different than mine. And if people find out, you know, that they can always just come directly to the source, well then they might always just come directly to me for these orders, and you know, which that's what I do. I simply just take orders, and if anyone comes to me directly, like, you know, unless they say, hey, I found you through your friend up here in Canada, and I'm like, oh, well, you should be ordering from my friend up there in Canada. But unless they say so, I won't know. And my prices are what they are. My prices have been set for years now on all these items, and I know that he's marketing them up a little bit more than what I would do. But also, I sell my stuff at very affordable pricing, where people tell me, why do you charge so little for your glass? Like, you should be making a lot more. And that's because I've always been used to wholesaling to the public. And so now my retail prices are close to wholesale. You know, instead of tripling, I just double. That's all. But then some people who buy wholesale from me, then they'll triple it. So then their price break is a little bit more. And that's okay. You know, it is what it is. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm gathering this. We're going to make the 2.0. And basically it's the same amount of glass, but just a little bit more added to the back. It's just flattened. So it's the same rod, the same 16 millimeter rod that we start with. We gather it up to where it's at least a millimeter and a half on each side bigger. So at this point, that's the drop of water right there. Pretty much done. But now what we do is we take it and we mash it, we flatten it. So then we have a disc on top, like that. So it's kind of like a really big nail. And then we take our cobalt, See, and the cool thing about the fact that, you know, he's gonna turn these into the drop of water, or sorry, into ocean in a drop. You know, that's really cool, because now it's the two separate campaigns where the competition's all built within into itself. You know, like I'm all about friendly competition. That's completely fine. I love it. But also, you know, now that he'll have the Drop of Water 2.0, as he's going to rename it as Ocean in a Drop, well, I can always just reinvent the Drop of Water 2.0 and do other cool things with it. You know, like instead of the white line, I could put a glow-in-the-dark line. That'd be really cool, actually. And then it would glow, and then he'd have, woo, he'd have the glow drop. Uh-oh, glow drop. Should we make one? Maybe we should make one. Oh yeah, I was also gonna type this in right here. Sorry, I was trying to share that on the Facebook a long time ago. But before I went live, I shared this all over the place, so it's surprising that ain't no one come in to watch. Or no one's even commented yet. But those of you who have come in, I do appreciate it. I know you've come and gone. There may be someone watching now. But hello, good morning if you are. So we're now working on the Drop of Water 2.0 here. And maybe I'll turn this into the glow drop. But you know, if we do so, I'm going to keep these glow drops just for GardunoGlass and strictly for the Drop of Water. I can't give out all my tricks all over. I got out of the wholesale business so I could become more of an artist and become known as more artistic and be able to do these kinds of things. So, but at the same time, I also want to make sure that we have the Drop of Water message, you know, clean drinking water for all. I want to be able to keep spreading and sharing this message across the world. And the best way that I've been able to find to do so is through the Drop of Water and through my friend and the Drop of Water campaign. So if you're in Canada, please be sure to take a look. Search for the Drop of Water campaign. I know he has a Facebook page. I don't know what other social media or anything he does, but I do know he has a social on Facebook with the Drop of Water campaign. So you'll see mine, which is just the Drop of Water, and it has this image. Oh no, it doesn't have that image. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Where's the? All right, well never mind. Forget I said that. All right, so now the cobalt's been laid on, and you can see the Drop of Water 2.0 or the Ocean in a Drop here. These take some time as well. You know, they're not very quick and simple like the simple Drop of Water. You need to mash a little cobalt blue, and you see how I'm trying to keep that perfectly centered. You know, I want to have the same amount of clear glass around the whole edge. So, you know, eventually we may start teaching others how to make these things, but that's why I'm letting my friend know I can teach them these all day. To do this may take them 27 years experience. Just saying. I may be the only one, and I don't know any artists who are good enough that can do this that want to step away from their work already. They already got orders to fulfill. So I don't really know of any others who would actually consider stepping away in order to make this bulk mass production for things that it isn't really in their heart, you know. This is in my heart, you know, making water drops to share this message across the world. This is in my heart, you know. For others, other glass blowers, they got other ideas and other creations they want to work on. I know how glass blowers are. I already know how they are. I also know how cutthroat they are. And if we start hiring individuals, we're going to have a non-disclosure agreement and all this kind of these clauses to where they will not be allowed to go off on their own for like 5 years once we teach them some things, and they will not be allowed to go off on their own and start making any of these to create their own campaigns on the side. It's got to all go through the Drop of Water or the Drop of Water campaign. There's a lot of things that I've been thinking about through this whole thing, but I also know that there's a lot of potential here. This could get huge, and this can help me retire. Oh no! Dang it! I should have just done it the way I normally do. Alright, so there's a little happy mistake there. It's just a happy little mistake. You know, like Bob Ross always said. Usually I just stretch it with the tweezers. I don't know if you saw that, but that colored glass came right off of the punchy, which doesn't help. Like, alright, cool. You want to give me a challenge, huh? Okay. But see, I've been known to make gauges, body jewelry, you know, to where you have to make them by the millimeter. So I've been known for being able to stretch out glass. So even though it's super thick, I can pretty much stretch it back out to what it needs to be. Being this is glow, I don't want to really waste any of it. I'll do my best to waste just the very bare minimum. Little tiny bit. Alright, so the next step here is the most crucial step there is in making this. And to teach this to someone else, I can teach you how to draw a line. I can teach you how to put a color on and a color dot and match it. But to teach you how to make it perfectly center, that takes experience. So like I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to just, you've got ideas that we're going to be able to just teach the world how to make all this stuff. Like, it's not that simple, dude. That's why there aren't a lot of glass blowers who do this. There's a lot of glass blowers who come and go. At one point, we had like close to 2,000 other glass artists around here we're competing with. All right, maybe not that many, but probably 200. Easily. 200 glass blowers to compete with in the local region. You either compete with them and make the same things that they make, and you try to cutthroat them in their prices, so you can get the accounts, which hurts the all 200 glass blowers. By you dropping it down $2 or $5, forces everyone else to have to do the same. So instead of doing that, you simply just step away from what everyone else is making, and you make something else that maybe people can't even replicate because it's so advanced, and you can't be shaky. So yeah, so these are those things. We'll see how long it takes. We'll see how much money is invested into the instruction of teaching these guys how to do this, and how many scraps they go through before they actually make one right and perfect, and then can duplicate them by the dozens, by the hundreds, or the thousands. To see, even me right now, I just made a mistake right there, and now I'm going to have to go back and fix it. The key to doing this is patience. Alright, where did I mess up? Right there. Alright, so then, you can see, perfectly lined up right around there, all with about that same thickness. That's the key. And having no gaps in between, but also not drawing the white onto the blue. So, all you students out there for learning, this may be the video that you'll be watching to learn from before I actually get there in Canada to teach you in person. You may be just watching this real simply to tell you exactly what's going to be hard, what's not going to be, how to be patient, lower your flame down, make sure you get that nice tight flame, but not too hot, but not too soft, just right. Bringing all the colors together, keeping them all nice and round, keeping that stringer thickness perfect. Because now every time I draw them, I got to make sure that my stringer's right there at about that 3 millimeter, maybe 2.5. But we'll probably make a video just for the 2.0s. We'll probably make a video to teach how to do every single one. And then I'll just sell them all, or you'll have to be a subscriber in order to get that video. Which is probably the best idea, is to just create a video. If you want the content, you got to pay like $5 or $10 to get it, to watch it. And be a subscriber and everything, you know, and then you watch the video first before we even get you on the torch. So part of the requirement, you know, and maybe it's not going to be only $5 or $10. Maybe it'll be a $50 video. And your prerequisite, if you're serious about getting into this, you'll invest $50. For the first breakthrough seminar for you. There's all kinds of ways and things like that to get people on the torch, or to teach them before they actually burn themselves, hurt themselves, cut themselves, burn others, blind themselves, whatever it is. You know, you want to make sure that you get in there first teaching all about safety and what might go wrong. You're working with propane and oxygen, highly volatile gases that can explode. You definitely need to take precautions. Before you even light the torch, you better make sure that all of your equipment is set up properly and accordingly. Who's going to be your safety supervisor, you know? Who's going to be there that's going to take that role and make sure, you know? For me, I like to blow glass by myself because I know ain't no one touched the tank, ain't no one messed with anything. I don't have to go back in every single session and make sure, oh, did someone mess with my pressure in the regulators? Did someone mess with the, did someone not, like they changed out the oxygen or the propane tanks and they didn't tighten them up properly? Did they not check for any air leaks? Did they, you know, a simple thing of just using soap and water will help you find air leaks in your hoses, you know? So when you're, you know, you're your own pilot, you want to make sure you're checking all those things yourself, right? So having a full work studio as being envisioned sometimes don't work out the best. I've been in a studio scenario and it's really harsh when you come in, you know, when you basically are only in there one to three times a week, right? So you got your Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. You go in on a Monday, been there all weekend working, and what they do, they emptied all the tanks, and they couldn't get refills because it was Sunday. So then you show up on Monday, and your oxygen, your propane tanks are empty. You got no backup, and ain't no one in there got money to help you to replace them. So then it's on you, out of your pocket, even though you paid the studio fee. Somehow the studio, their funds didn't take care of it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into blowing glass all by yourself. You start getting into a group setting with other glass artists, with strangers. I mean, if you and your best friend are sitting side by side, you could probably trust your best friend, right? But you got some strangers coming in side by side, and you don't know whether they've been out partying the night before, whether they are even coherent enough to be on the torch, what kind of demeanor they really have when they're sober compared to when they're not. You know, there's a lot of stuff to take into consideration when you're going to put someone on a glass torch and something extremely highly volatile as oxygen and propane. So I'm just saying that, and I hope my brother is actually watching and listening to these things and taking it all in, considering it all. Because, you know, for me, I can simply just dedicate my life to these things only and not make anything else as long as my bills are getting paid. You know, and of course every once in a while I'll set a day aside to make something for fun, of course. You know, as an artist I'm always going to do that. And of course if I have friends who want something, I'm going to make them something. It's not like it's just going to go away forever. So, you know, it is possible, being that I can make, you know, I can probably make 100 of these clear drops in a day. So as long as I have a turnaround time set for like 2 weeks, you place an order, I get you your order out in 2 weeks, you know. And if for some reason that order is too big, well then at that point, that's when I can hire in my own help to come in and help me with making them. Because you got to be able to do tricky stuff like that, you know? Popping the puntee off without dropping the whole thing. There's a lot of tricks to these. Not as simple as people think they are. They might look simple, but you see, we're barely about to get the loop going, you know? Finally got it to that point. But this comes from like my skills of being able to make eyeballs, you know, working on eyeballs for years, working with the body jewelry, you know, having the experience of being able to pull a stringer with the diameter that I want it to be, the thickness I want it to be, you know. Do I want it 5 millimeters, 7 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 12 millimeters? How thick do I need that rod? There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Alright, and then this here. You gotta know how to do this just right. Heating up the whole body, but mostly the top too. Attaching this. And then pulling the loop while keeping the bottom flat. This is not for beginners, that's for sure. This is not for novices, not for beginners. Okay, so I'm pulling it as I'm keeping that bottom flat. Right, then we pull that off the punties. Now we gotta straighten this all out. Bring this around. And see, now I gotta keep that color on the inside of the loop too. See, I pulled that all up into there. See that? You don't want that to twist on you in the loop. You gotta rock your glass back and forth, your left side, your right side, because of the way gravity wants to hold it and pull it. And you want to attach that directly center. And then you got to look at where the thickest part of the loop is. So you can put your flame to that and then use your reamer and go from the inside out and kind of like pull it up and stretch it. So then you can get that shaping and that taper just right. Just like that. And you know this one here, it looks good, but that this line here, I don't really see it too much on the side there. So I'm interested to see how this is going to glow, because this was the first ever glow in the dark 2.0, or now known as the glow drop. And then cleaning it up. Yeah. Alright, so there you go. That's the Drop of Water 2.0. That's done. It's got the white. That's all accented around there. And then after it's out of the kiln, then we'll see how it glows. And I don't know how it's going to glow. I won't know until we're in the dark. So let's put this one in the kiln here. Alright, I'm going to check the temperature on the kiln. I believe that's hot enough now. Yeah, we're already at like 1020, 1050. When I open it, it drops quite a bit. So it's reading 1020 and it's rising back up pretty quickly, 1025 already. It'll be up to 1030, so that's why I said like probably about 1050. I normally fire my glass at 1080. Some people only go 1040. I go 1080. And I hold it there for a little while. So yeah, so that's pretty much how you do the earth drop, the drop of water 2.0 or ocean in a drop, and how to make the drop of water here. So with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm Dan the Glass Man. I'm gonna continue probably working and making more of these here. And finish up this row today. We'll have 37 done by the end of the day. Maybe hopefully in the next 3 hours or so. But I'm going to take a break now and get myself some lunch. But I thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Love and blessings. That was what was that? 2-hour video there. So thank you guys, those of you who stood through the whole thing. I really do appreciate it. If you are a water protector, go on ahead and comment below, let me know, and let's get linked up so I can make sure to honor you and gift you with a drop of water. Remember, water is life. Every drop counts. Love and blessings. We'll see you guys soon. Have a beautiful day.